Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the Booze.
For the booze.
For the Booze.
Back for the last time. Or
What's up?
Or the next time. I don't know.
Yeah. What's up, Booze Crew? How's everybody?
Boo. I mean that in a good way, though.
I hope everybody's doing good. We're good.
Yep.
Yep.
I have nothing new. I'm staring at my guitar.
Yes, the guitar you built.
Yes, indeed.
Next to the podcast table that I built.
Do you need a hand with that?
Shut your mouth.
I tried. But yeah, so we're back on track. We're back on schedule. Finally.
We are. Yes.
Finally. We're finally back to doing it every week, so it doesn't feel so foreign anymore.
I know. It's crazy because we only skipped like a week.
It was two.
It was
no.
Oh, that's right. It was two.
Yeah, we did like 2 shows in a month.
Yeah.
So it got weird. But now we're back on track. I feel like my microphone's not being very loud. Is this better?
Yes.
Just get my face right in it.
Right up in there.
But anyways, you know what? I'll just crank the volume up a little bit.
Hey, that works too.
I got that power. But before we get in, well, do you have anything new you'd like to talk about?
I don't, just that I built a podcast table.
And it's a mighty fine table.
Hey, thanks.
The one time I'm going to allow the bangy sound on here, but she's solid. Before we get into the topic of what we're going to talk about today, I have some stories.
Yes.
These are going to come out from our friend Dawn.
Hey.
Who has sent us in so many that she sent us in the 2 before, which were longer, and then she sent me a list of a few short ones and then another long one. So we're going to read a couple, I don't know, either 2 or 3 of the shorter ones. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how I feel when I get to the end of them.
Okay.
And here we go. Hi, back again. The first 2 emails were apparitions. This one is things that I've seen. One time we were just sitting watching TV. Just sitting around, and I heard a glass fall on the floor. It was a small juice glass. Our cabinets have no covers on them, and the doors have a lip so things can't just fall out. So this glass somehow jumped over the lip and landed on the floor right side up. Did not shatter. That's weird in itself, since everything breakable that I drop breaks. That's my luck.
Yeah. Okay.
Story 2. In the middle of the night, I got up to use the restroom and had just gotten back in bed when the kitchen lit up. I poked my husband and told him to look. He asked if a car was aimed at our kitchen, which is not all that easy to do. We are a dead end. I got up to see where the light was coming from, and it was a broken, cheap flashlight. It was broken, but hubby wouldn't let me throw it away. We still have it. We played around with it to try and make it do it again, but we couldn't. It didn't even have batteries in it. That one was the creepiest.
What? No batteries.
It's pretty creepy.
Wow.
Number 3. I was in the kitchen making something and talking to hubby when we both heard, "Hello." We stopped and he goes, "Did you hear that?" "Yep, I did." Quick info dump here. I'm legally deaf. I can hear some, but it needs to be a little louder than someone's normal volume. Also, our living room is our bedroom, and the kitchen is right there. Anyway, hubby goes hello back, and a faint hi was heard. I barely heard that one. The hello was loud and right next to me.
Voices? No. No.
Pretty creepy.
No.
Pretty
Listen,
creepy.
I'm okay with maybe the flashlight because that was really creepy. But like
The flashlight was.
When voices start happening and then respond back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But the cup reminds me of something that just happened to us this week.
What happened to us this week?
We were playing ball, throwing the ball back and forth with our youngest boys.
Oh, yes.
We were sitting each in our recliners, and they were across the living room on the couch. And we threw it back and forth, having a fun time. And then they were just both like, nope, we're done. You know, young kids, attention spans. So they left. I had the ball. I set it right next to me between the arm of the chair and my leg. I got up. It was sitting in my chair a good, I don't know, I'd say 7 inches back from the edge. Mm-hmm. And I got up. I went into our room. I did a few things. It was maybe 45 seconds to a minute.
Maybe. No, I don't even think it was that long.
As soon as I stepped back out of the bedroom and faced that chair,
the ball rolled out of the chair.
Just bloop, right onto the floor.
We even tried to debunk this. We placed it in like 4 different spots to make this thing happen again, and it wouldn't do it.
And I had been out of the chair. The chair goes back into its form as soon as I get up.
It was very weird.
It was super strange. It was super strange.
It was very weird. Such a, like, because we do this kind of stuff all the time. And, like, when you set it right there in that chair, it doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. It just stays.
So,
yeah,
whatever.
It was very strange. It was just, like, pushed onto the floor.
We tried to debunk it, and it just didn't work out.
Nope. But that cup story reminded me so much of that.
The flashlight one, though. Ooh. No batteries. That's always, like, the fear factor right there. Like,
absolutely.
Jesus. But anyways, thank you, Dawn. And we do have, like I said, one more story coming in from her.
Yay.
And hopefully some more from some other people out there. But we have to move on. We have to get on to For the Booze. We got to give the booze crews their booze. And today we're going to go, where were we last week? Let me think. What did we do last week? Seven Sisters Inn. That's right. God, I didn't think about that. We're going all the way from the East Coast, far, far to the West Coast.
Yes.
We're going to what is quoted as the most haunted house in all of America. And it's called
the Whaley House.
The Whaley House. That's
dun,
right.
Dun, dun.
I know. I was looking for a sound effect.
I saw that.
I switched it.
I threw it in. It's okay.
But I say we get this wagon train a moving, and we pack up the kids and we make our pilgrimage out west to become prospects and miners and to the Old West.
All the way to the West.
Before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to a few websites that I used for my story, such as trolleytours.com, sdghosts.com, which I got to say, let me take a little aside already. Mm-hmm. Go to that website. It is awesome.
Yeah?
Dude, I don't know who's writing, and it's really good. I could have just used their whole story. And it would have been awesome. But check it out, sdghosts.com, author stevewillard.com, and the all-powerful Wikipedia.com. Always got to go back to it at some point.
Yes.
The written story of San Diego, California region began in the present state of California when Europeans first began inhabiting the San Diego Bay region. As the first area of California in which Europeans settled, San Diego has been described as the birthplace of California. Explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo claims to have discovered San Diego Bay in 1542, roughly 200 years before other Europeans settled in the area. In truth, Native Americans, such as the Kumeyaay people, had been living in the area for as long as 12,000 years prior to any European presence.
Whoa. That's a long time.
They're the OGs, man.
Yeah.
Gangster.
Wow.
We didn't discover anything. Come on. A fort and mission were established in 1769, which gradually expanded into a settlement under the first Spanish and then Mexican rule. San Diego officially became part of the U.S. in 1848, and the town was named the county seat of San Diego County when California was granted statehood in 1850. It remained a very small town for several decades, but grew rapidly after 1880 due to development and the establishment of multiple military facilities. Growth was especially rapid during and immediately after World War II. entrepreneurs and boosters laid the basis for an economy based today on the military, defense industries, biotech, tourism, international trade, and manufacturing. San Diego is now the 8th largest city in the country and forms the heart of the larger San Diego metropolitan area. Thomas Whaley arrived in California around 1849 during the famous California Gold Rush. Upon arrival, he set up a store with George Wardle in Montgomery Street in San Francisco. It was there where he sold hardware and would work for his family's New York business, Pye and Whaley, as well as offering mining equipment and utensils on consignment. Born on October 5th, 1823, the young entrepreneur came from a Scots-Irish family, yes, go, which immigrated to Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1722.
Massachusetts.
Represent, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Whaley, Thomas's grandfather, was a gunsmith and participated in the Boston Tea Party. During the Revolutionary War, he provided flintlock muskets for soldiers in the use of his house on Long Island by General George Washington. Thomas's father, Thomas Whaley, carried on the family gunsmith business and served in the New York militia during the War of 1812. Now, he married Rachel Pye. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's P-Y-E. It seems like it would be Pye.
Yeah.
Whose father, William, manufactured locks in Brooklyn. So this is a New England family.
Yeah.
You know, because we're rad. Sorry. I'm trying not to laugh at that. Whaley's entrepreneurial spirit and sharp business acumen, A-C-U-M-E-N, acumen. I'm going to get hung up on this. Acumen. Acquired in part from his education at the Washington Institute, helped him flourish in San Francisco. Thomas Whaley capitalized on his success by establishing his own store on Montgomery Street. After an arson set fire destroyed his buildings on Montgomery Street in May of 1851, he relocated to Old Town, San Diego, on the advice of Louis Franklin, a merchant who operated stores in San Francisco and Old Town. Whaley set up various businesses with Franklin, Ephraim Morse, Francis Hilton, and even his brother Henry, and amassed enough money to return to New York to marry his sweetheart, Anna Eloise Delaunay, the daughter of French-born parents, on May 14, 1853. Shortly after their marriage, in 1855, Thomas and Anna returned to San Diego. It was then that Thomas Whaley purchased the land and set forth on his journey to build the finest home in California. By 1858, Thomas and Anna Whaley had produced 3 children. Francis Hilton, named for a business partner. Thomas, who died at just 18 months of age. And Anna Amelia. Later in life, the Whaleys welcomed 3 more children. George Hayes Ringgold, also named for a business partner, Violet Eloise, and Corinne Lillian.
Can I just say those are some pretty cool names?
They are, but why are they going to be so long?
I don't know, but they're really cool.
They're like those kind of names where you're like, you're not sure if you're saying them right,
Yeah.
but whatever.
I don't know. They sound great to me.
They're pretty.
Yeah.
Now, this was a short article piece that I had found from trolleytours.com, and I thought it was a good overall description before we actually get into the story. Because, yes, I haven't gotten into it yet.
Okay.
Overwhelmingly praised as the first of its kind and the finest home in Southern California, the Whaley House was a central pillar of the 19th century Old Town community. Besides being the Whaley family home, it was also San Diego's first commercial theater, the county courthouse, and a general store. The legendary Whaley House is widely regarded as one of the most iconic landmarks in all of San Diego. From its rich Greek revival architecture style and authentic decor to its mysterious past and unrivaled haunted pedigree, it's no wonder this home attracts visitors from all over the world. Spend the day exploring the family home of Thomas Whaley and be transported back to San Diego life in the 1800s. Or grab a memorial souvenir at the Whaley House, located directly behind the Whaley House, and stick around for a delicious meal at the New Orleans Creole Cafe.
That sounds delicious.
See what makes the famed Whaley House an absolute San Diego must-do experience. On March 6, 1856, Thomas Whaley began construction of his new home and proclaimed, "My house, when completed, will be the most handsome, the most comfortable, and convenient place in town or within 150 miles of here." The two-story Greek revival house was designed by Thomas Whaley himself and made from bricks created in Whaley's very own brickyard on Conde Street. The house was the first of its kind and cost more than $10,000 when completed. Furnished with mahogany and rosewood furniture, Brussels carpets, and damask drapes, the Whaley House was overwhelmingly praised as, quote, the first of its kind and finest home in Southern California. I heard rosewood and I thought of a guitar. That's where all the rosewood's gone.
They took it all.
The Whaley House. From 1869 through 1871, the Whaley House became the gathering place for the entire San Diego community. Besides being the Whaley family home, it was also San Diego's first commercial theater, the county courthouse, and the general store. The home became such an integral part of the community that it was later the focal point in a battle between Old Town residents and New Town residents.
Wow.
The San Diego County government had been renting a portion of the Whaley House for its offices and records. Whaley offered several times to sell the house to the county, but the offers were ignored. Newtowners demanded that the county offices and records be moved to Newtown. Despite threats of armed resistance from the Old Towners, the records were moved on March 31st, 1871, effectively shifting the focus of the city to Newtown. So there was like a little war here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Definitely. Now, although the Whaley House was a communal treasure, it served primarily as the residential home for Thomas Whaley and his family. Unfortunately, tragedy continued to strike the Whaley family while they lived in the home, leading to an increase in reported paranormal activity. In fact, the Whaley family told the San Diego Union shortly after moving in that they heard heavy footsteps in the house, which they believed to be the ghost of James Yankee Jim Robinson, who had earlier been hanged on the property for stealing a boat. Now, I didn't add this into the story, but there were also claims by the Whaley family that they would hear a baby crying, and they believed it to be the spirit of their 18-month-old son who died in the house. The one who
passed away. Wow.
There was also claims of, I think, one of the daughters as well. So there's lots of claims of paranormal activity in this home long before paranormal stuff was all the rage.
Like, okay to, like, people, you would say that back then, and people were like, you're insane. Like, what?
Yeah, you would have been like, witchcraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Kill them.
I mean, this is what, the 1800s?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Late 1800s. So it was before it was really a pop culture thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let's learn a little bit about Yankee Jim.
Okay.
Because what a cool friggin' name, dude.
I know, right?
Yankee Jim. Now, Yankee Jim arrived in San Diego around the summer of 1852. It's not really known for sure where he picked up the name Yankee, although it's likely that the blonde Canadian was a former sailor who came to California in 1842 after serving in the Navy. Historians differ on whether Yankee Jim picked up the name there or while prospecting for gold in Northern California. It's not really known for sure either how Jim came to be in San Diego. It has also become a source of debate. There are those who insist that he was a good-natured man who came to town with two friends seeking a place to live. But there are others who speculated the men came as part of a crime spree that was supposed to lead them to a retirement in Mexico. The men quickly discovered their stay was not going to be a happy one. They arrived just as the city was struggling with bankruptcy. The ensuing crime and economic tensions had pushed tempers to an all-time high, and outsiders were being blamed for every problem in town. Public opinion of Yankee Jim would go from bad to worse when he attempted to steal the 30-ton pilot boat Plutus docked in the San Diego Bay. Yankee Jim was pursued but was able to get away by jumping in a rowboat where he eventually went across the bay and landed in Point Loma. He was captured several hours later when he stopped at a ranch asking for food and water. The rancher became suspicious when he remembered hearing of the townspeople looking for a tall stranger in a red shirt. Realizing Yankee Jim was the wanted man, the rancher grabbed a sword. At the time, Yankee Jim bolted with the rancher and his wife in hot pursuit. The chase ended with the rancher smashing the rusty sword over Yankee Jim's head.
Oh.
And the rancher then latched the battered man to a mule and walked him back to town.
Oh, my.
That's rough, man.
What?
Get hit in the head with a sword.
And who steals a boat? I mean,
it's 1800s.
Weird.
It's old.
But okay.
And it's not a regular boat either. It's like a 30-ton boat. I'm not sure exactly what a pilot boat is, but I'm sure it's a big boat.
I mean, he wasn't in the Navy, I guess.
He could sail it.
Well,
Yeah, whatever.
weird.
Now, within days of being captured, the county, who had authority over the bay, placed Yankee Jim and his two friends on trial. At first, Yankee Jim, he thought the whole thing was a skit designed to scare him. The jury was made up of some of the men who originally chased him, and Judge Benjamin Hayes was drunk during much of the trial.
Oh.
The trial began with prosecutor James W. Robinson, no relation, telling the jury that Yankee Jim came to town to steal San Diego and to commit piracy on the high seas. The proceedings were so amusing to Yankee Jim that he had to be told several times to stop laughing, but in the end, he found out it was no joke. After a short deliberation, the jury reached a verdict and recommended death. Judge Hayes agreed, and Yankee Jim was sentenced to die at the end of a rope the next day.
Well, that was rough.
One day.
Rough stuff. First, you got a drunk judge.
One
You're
day.
laughing because you think it's fake.
While Yankee Jim's sentence may seem harsh and swift for modern-day standards, for some jury members, the hanging couldn't come soon enough. They wanted to take him outside and lynch him right after the trial. Cooler heads prevailed, and the law that required a jury to wait 24 hours before a hanging was followed. Without a jail to house Yankee Jim, he was shackled to a tree to await his sentence.
Oh.
The hanging took place on August 18th on the site of what is now the Whaley House. As soon as Yankee Jim saw the rope, he knew the last 24 hours of his life has been very real. Death came slowly for the Canadian at the scaffolding was not high enough for his 6'3" frame, and he spent half an hour strangling on the rope.
Oh, my.
Now, the execution of Yankee Jim should have brought closure to one of the most sensational cases of 1852, but it was only the beginning. Shortly after his hanging, some citizens reported seeing his ghost in the area of the gallows. After the Whaley House was built in 1857, spirit sightings continued, mainly in the room and staircase directly over where the gallows once stood. Some encounters consisted of hearing noises in the upstairs, but some people reported actually seeing Yankee Jim. In 1860, Thomas Whaley wrote in his journal that he often heard footsteps upstairs and thought they belonged to the condemned Canadian. Another tragic event, the violent suicide of Violet, one of the Whaley daughters, moved Thomas to build a new home in downtown San Diego and relocate his family. On August 19th of 1885, at the young age of just 22 years old, Violet Eloise V. Whaley, despondent over a failed marriage and divorce to George T. Bertolacci. Violet ended her life by shooting herself in the heart with her father's .32 caliber revolver. A suicide note written by the heartbroken woman was found and read, "Mad from life's history, swift to death's mystery, glad to be hurled anywhere, anywhere out of this world." Signed, Violet Whaley. Very poetic.
Very super sad.
She would have made a good goth chick.
Wow. That's really sad.
It is. But come on. Appreciate the joke.
I do.
Okay.
I do. Emo.
For sure. In 1890, Thomas Whaley passed away in their new home on State Street, never to return to the original Whaley estate. Abandoned for close to 20 years, the Whaley House wasn't ugly or in poor condition, and Francis Whaley, their eldest son, decided to go back in 1909. After moving in, Francis set about restoring the property and entertaining tourists by playing his guitar and telling stories about the house's background. In the years that followed, most members of the Whaley family returned to live and eventually die in their original family home, including Francis, who passed away 1 year after his mother Anna in 1913. And though we heard about many tragedies in the home, these were just a few. There were, of course, other instances that took place within the house, such as fires and other deaths. And while I normally write a little something to sum it all up, I found something from a website named sdghosts.com that was written so well that I thought I would let them take this one out.
Ooh.
The events surrounding the Whaley House are indeed sad and heartbreaking. One has to wonder if Thomas having the home built on top of a cemetery, and execution site is to blame for the tragedies that seem to follow the family all of their collective lives. It cannot be denied that any happiness and joy the family had was fleeting at best. Their lives were filled with near constant sorrow and despair. So well known are these tragic lives that ghost hunters and thrill seekers flock to its location every year in order to attempt to catch a glimpse of one of the long-dead Whaleys. Today, the residence serves as a museum that is open to the public. There, people can get a first-hand look at the house that was meant to be the Whaleys' forever home. Instead, it turned out to be forever haunted by the Whaleys.
Ooh. That's a good story. I enjoyed that.
It was probably my longest story.
I liked that. It was all a lot of sad stuff, but
Well,
it was very well done. Good job.
The house was basically just one big tragedy pit.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
insane. Like the family, lost
Everything.
so much. So much.
And one of the stories I remember was right after they lost their 18-month-old baby was when the arson set fire to their store.
Oh, God.
So basically it was like they waited for him to be in the middle of grieving.
Right.
And
to
then
hit him with that.
Yes.
Oh, my.
So could you imagine that, having your child die and then immediately have your livelihood burnt to the ground?
Oh, God.
And there were other kids that didn't make it too.
Right.
It's just the whole Whaley family history is just shrouded in tragedy
And sadness.
Big
Oh,
time.
my God.
So,
Wow.
that's the history of, I don't know, everything I could find, because I wanted to give context of what the area was like before the house was built.
Mm-hmm.
And, where did the Whaleys come from?
Well, and it gives you like a big picture. You know what I mean? And I thoroughly enjoy how much you put into that. So you can
Well, thank you.
see like the before, during, and after types of things that
Exactly.
surround these locations, because it does matter.
It's important to understand where we're at today, how we got there.
Exactly.
So learning all the history is something I like to do. That. That's why I was like, I'll do the history.
Big history buff over
Because
there.
I like it. I don't know a ton about history, but I'll learn everything I can.
Yeah.
And this one was
You seem to thoroughly enjoy it.
yeah, this
so.
one was a cool one. Maybe eventually I'll get my mouth to work right when I'm reading it, but I Can't make any promises. So if you hear any
That's
good
all right.
cuts in here, that's why.
I suck too. It's okay.
Any good cuts in the music, you'll know why.
I trip myself up all the time when
It
I'm
happens,
reading.
Whatever. That's why we don't do a live show.
Not the best readers.
That's why we don't do a video format. But anyways, that's the history. And now I know from reading around the internet, I don't know what you wrote, but I do know that there are a lot of good stories around this place. So I'm sure you got something pretty dope.
Well, I definitely do. So like you said, Travel Channel's America's Most Haunted has said that the Whaley House is #1 most haunted house in the United States. The alleged hauntings of the Whaley House have been reported on numerous other television programs, has been written up in countless publications and books, and even a movie was made since the house first opened up as a museum in 1960.
Oh, wow.
If there are ghosts at the Whaley House, who are they and why are they here? A special thanks to ghoststory.co.uk, San Diego Haunted.com, and theghostattic.com for providing me the info to write these ghostly happenings to this story. Thomas Whaley's ghost is one of the most active spirits in the house. Some visitors and volunteers have encountered the sweet aroma of Cuban cigar smoke, which was a favorite of Thomas Whaley. At other times, it can be so overpowering, they have to leave the room. Thomas Whaley's ghost is usually seen wearing a long coat and top hat. Most often, he is encountered at the top of the stairs or in the master bedroom. The most common manifestation is the Thomas Whaley's booming laughter, which is regularly heard throughout the house. Anna Whaley, Thomas's wife, has not left her husband's side, even in death. When Anne was alive, she was a keen pianist, a very good singer. In life, she was described as a petite and beautiful lady. Some of Anna's handmade dresses have been preserved in the house, and they can be seen displayed in her room. The ghost of Anna has been sighted throughout the house. The majority of the sightings have been in the downstairs rooms and in the garden. A distinct smell of perfume is often reported, sometimes accompanied by the sightings of orbs. One visitor, while in the garden, noticed a lady picking flowers. The visitor was concerned that this woman was picking flowers without permission and decided to approach her. The witness described the woman as wearing a long cream dress and her hair done in an old-fashioned style. The witness got to about 10 feet away, and the woman just vanished right in front of her. The Whaley's red-haired daughter died under mysterious circumstances at age 11. For an unknown reason, she ate a quantity of poisonous powder. She is one of the most playful ghosts in the house. She prefers to appear to other children in such a clear form that they usually don't realize she is anything but just another kid. Pulling hair and tickling other children are her specialty, especially little girls about her age. Her ghost is also believed to be behind the swinging meat cleaver in the kitchen, which hundreds of visitors have witnessed. One morning, Miss Reading, the curator, arrived at the Whaley House early, getting ready to open it up for another day of visitors. She began to walk around the house for a quick morning inspection. When she rounded the corner into the dining room, she was greeted by the image of a Native American Indian who looked to be as real as anything else in the room, except he had no feet. He hovered in view for a few moments before fading away. She also recalled, while giving another tour of the house, a little girl, perhaps 5 or 6 years old, had waved to a man she said was standing in the parlor. No one else could see him, but often children's sensitivity is greater than adults. Yankee Jim is said to haunt the stairs from the first floor to the second, specifically the 9th step, which is believed to be where he dangled during his drawn-out death. Some visitors have experienced the feeling of a noose tightening around their necks as they tour the house. Yankee Jim has also been observed standing behind tour guides during their presentations. In 1964, Regis Philbin, a then local television celebrity, and a companion decided to spend the night in the house. About 2:30 a.m., they saw someone or something walk from the study into the music room. Regis told reporters, quote, "All of a sudden, I noticed something on the wall. There was something filmy white. It looked like an apparition of some kind. I got so excited I couldn't restrain myself. I flipped on the flashlight, and nothing was there but a portrait of Anna Whaley, the long-dead mistress of the house." End quote. Several years ago, a tour group were being shown the rooms upstairs. The whole group heard the piano being played downstairs. The piano continued to be played until the tour group got to the stairs. By the time they had got to the bottom, the music had stopped, and there was no one in the room where the music had come from. As well as being heard playing the piano, Anna also seems to enjoy a good tune on the music box. The sound of music and singing has been heard long after the building has been closed up for the night. Lights have also been seen in the windows and the shutters being open and shut. Other visitors have described seeing or sensing the presence of a woman in the courtroom, claiming to see a small figure of a woman who has a swarthy complexion, wearing a long, full skirt reaching to the floor. She has an old-style hat adorned on her head, dark hair and eyes, and she also wears gold hoops in her pierced ears. None of the Whaleys fit this description, but the house was rented out to numerous tenants over the years. Perhaps the mysterious woman in the courtroom was one of the many previous residents. In any room in the house, at any time during the day, a guest visiting the Whaley House may find themselves witnessing orbs, brilliant balls of light, and unexplained mists floating from room to room. These appear randomly, move around between rooms, and it is even said ghostly shapes can be seen in the patterns. In Thomas Whaley's time, as a nearby cemetery reveals, children were at greater risk for early death in those days. The Whaleys lost one son as a toddler, and a young boy has been seen playing in the master bedroom. The sounds of children laughing and crying have been heard throughout the house. Many other claims have been reported over the years. Shadow figures and footsteps are heard walking down the halls and down the stairs. Lights turning on and off by themselves. Doors tend to open and close by an unseen force. A chandelier in the music room swings by itself, and there are strange smells all over. A figure has been seen peering out of the upstairs windows when everyone has gone home for the day. The distinct sound of a man clearing his throat can be heard on occasion. Curtains in many rooms are seen moving by themselves, even though the windows are closed. In fact, the ground floor windows have been sealed to keep them from opening by themselves and setting off the alarm. Beds and pillows in several of the bedrooms have shown the impressions of someone having laid there, even though visitors cannot gain access to the rooms, and a lone rocking chair has been seen rocking on its own. All of these sights and sounds from visitors and employees alike make it hard to believe that this old house holds the secrets and the traumas from all the years before. The Whaley House stands silently watching over San Diego Avenue, as it has done for a century and a half. Every day, visitors come from around the world to tour the historic museum. It contains so much history within its walls that even the non-believer will enjoy the tour. For believers and skeptics alike, the house draws them back time and time again, in search of those elusive ghosts. As Regis Philbin once said, a lot of people poo-poo it because they can't see it, but there was something going on in that house.
Poo-poo it.
That's what he said.
Thanks, Regis.
I had to add that. I thought it was funny.
That's poo-poo it.
Poo-poo it.
No, it just turned into a child. Poo-poo. That was a really good story.
Thanks.
I was into especially when you're talking about smelling the smoke for some reason. I was like, oh, because I watched a few videos today on the Whaley House to get in the mood, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was a big claim that I watched a video from 1984.
Whoa.
And yeah, right. You weren't even born yet. And
nope, sure wasn't.
When there was, I don't know if the old lady lived there or if she was like a curator or something, but she would say that there was absolutely no smoking allowed in the house.
Right.
And at times, all of a sudden you would get it would just somebody blew smoke right in your face. Well,
I know the curator that I had mentioned in the story, Miss Reading. I believe her name was June Reading.
Is this the old lady that I'm talking about?
The curator. I know she has since passed.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was in her 80s in 1984,
yeah,
so I have to imagine that she's no longer with us.
I wonder if it was her then in that video.
Probably. I mean, in the 80s, she probably was there for a while.
I don't know. It's crazy. I think a lot of that is super cool. I myself am weary on apparitions. I mean, you may be able to see what they're wearing, what they're doing, but you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
to put a specific name to that person, I mean, they could have all of the features and things from someone else, but it's not specifically them. They didn't tell you that. But
yeah, well, that's true.
For all the people who have seen apparitions, I think it's telling.
Well, it's kind of we'll call it the Waverly Hills effect, right? Mm-hmm. Once you see, once there's so much stuff recorded, it really becomes prolific, because if there's another place that gets, I don't know, more activity or more recorded activity than it's Whaley House. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a reason they call it, quote unquote, the most haunted house in America, right?
And I mean, the stuff that I touched on is just, a sliver of the stuff that have actually been recorded. And
there's so much.
I started off with a different story that was quotes exactly from people who were there. And I just didn't feel like that would flow very well in a story. Yeah. So I kind of changed it up a little bit.
This was better.
Well, thanks.
Well, I mean, I didn't get to hear your first one. But.
Well, I did a whole story and I deleted it.
I watched you do it. I know.
I know.
I was sitting there and I was like, what the hell was she doing?
I was like, am I doing this? And I just pushed it. So I also, in my findings on the interwebs, I found a personal story.
Okay.
That was pretty good from someone. So I wanted to share it with everyone.
Okay. All right.
The personal story I found comes from the website hiddensandiego.net, and it says, the Whaley House is said to be one of the most haunted houses in the U.S. Do you believe it's haunted? I do. And I'd like to share my story from when I was a child. These days, all of the rooms are glassed off, so you can't go inside them. When I was a kid there, it was just roped off, keeping you from going into the rooms. And well, that wasn't going to stop me from going in. In one of the rooms I went in, I remember extremely vividly looking in a long mirror and seeing behind me a young boy, about 5 years old, in a 19th century style outfit. He had suspenders, a paperboy hat, knee highs, etc. He was talking to a beautiful lady who was actually who was the one to actually keep me looking through the mirror and giving me a mischievous smile. She didn't seem evil, but devious. The weird thing about her was that she was all green. I mean, green face, clothes, hair, etc. I wasn't scared, though. I was intrigued. I heard people coming up the stairs, and I instinctively turned to see who it was. The little boy and lady were nowhere to be seen when I looked behind me.
I think I know this.
And when I turned back to look into the mirror, the only person looking at me was my own reflection. The ghostly pair had vanished. It was an amazing experience. At such a young age, when my imagination was still going full force, it was impossible for me to fully wrap this experience around in my head. Regardless, though, it had remained vividly in my memory ever since, although I questioned if what I had seen was real or in my head. Until my mid-20s, the only mention I had ever heard or read about was a green lady in the Whaley House, was a bookstore in Old Town. One day, I was thumbing through the books about the ghosts of Old Town, and it briefly mentioned a green female spirit that haunted the area, accompanied with a cheesy illustration of a green ghost woman. I've been kicking myself in the butt ever since for not at least writing down the title and author of that book. Fast forward to October 31st, 2010. I went to Old Town that night, and there was a group of ghost hunters there advertising their group and putting together haunted tours of the Whaley House. I decided to talk to them about my experience and get their take on it. To my surprise, they were actually very interested in my story and believed me, unlike most people. One of the ladies asked if I would look at some of the female ghosts that they were able to capture on camera there, and of course, I naturally agreed. The first photo was of Anna Whaley, the mother. I immediately said no, and that she wasn't the lady that I saw. She then showed me a second ghostly photo of a female. I can't remember who she said that woman was. Again, no. I explained that she looked to be in her 20s and was beautiful. They both said at the same time, Violet. Wow. They then showed me a ghostly-looking photo of Violet, the daughter, who committed suicide in the back house. Immediately, I knew it was her. Then they both got really excited when they realized that Violet had been seen with a green orb around her numerous times and was in fact associated with that color. I cannot tell you how excited I was to not only put a face and name to the female ghost that I had seen, but to also have people believe me and give me props for seeing her. Since I learned that the female ghost I saw was Violet Whaley, I began reading up on the Whaley family more. I then learned that a young girl was rumored to haunt that house, but a psychic ghost hunting group who frequents this place all agreed that there is no spirit of a young girl, but there instead is of a young boy. That too would go right along with the little boy I saw there. This was all so exciting for me.
Was this Amy Bruni?
I don't know. It didn't have a name. I scoured.
Well, I only asked because if you go back to our Kindred Spirits episode, when she was a little girl and went out ghost hunting with her dad, her first encounter was seeing a green boy.
I did.
Yeah, no, it's in our episode. Go back and listen.
I didn't even
That's the first thing I thought of.
Make that reference when I was reading that. Yeah. But I looked, I was like, I want to put this person's name on it. Like, that's,
I was hoping at the end you had the name because I was going to be like, let me guess who it is.
No. I couldn't. I looked around that whole entire website. I mean, maybe somebody just copied and pasted it and didn't put the name.
Well, you know what? Anybody out there, if you know it's her story, tell us, tweet at us. Yes. I'd love to know. Tweet us for the booze, please.
I didn't even think about How did I not think about that?
I don't know.
Oh, my gosh.
I guess I'm just a bigger fan.
Oh, my God.
I was going to say, though, in your story, I'd follow a pretty devious woman, too. I'd be all over that.
I'm sure you
Sounds like something that's right up my alley. I married you.
You definitely did.
You're devious.
Maybe a little.
It's scandalous. Ooh. Oh, but okay, so we've heard all the stories, so yes. Is it time?
I think it's that time.
Is it real?
Well, Stephen. I guess.
Well, other Stephen.
Well, I guess it's time to find out what Megan thinks.
I am.
After she smacks her lips.
I'm sorry.
I'll edit it out. It's fine.
I'm going to say yes. I do. I really do. I think there's a lot. I mean, this isn't a place that's been plastered all over the things that we watch. I mean, Ghost Adventures was there, and the YouTube channel TFIL went there. But other than that, I don't think I've ever really seen this place like super duper big. I mean, maybe I'm just missing things, but I don't know. The sliver of stuff that I put in there was just, again, a fraction of what is out there. Mm-hmm. And that's not from TV people and, ratings and stuff like that. And I think that holds a true testament to what this place actually may be. So, yes.
Nice.
What about you, Steven?
I was waiting for you to ask me.
Other Steven or you, Steven?
It's going to be me this time.
Oh, okay.
Is it real?
Well, other Steven. I actually think this is the first time that we're going to sync up 100% on an episode.
Ooh.
The very first time. I also believe it's haunted. And I also believe for the same reason. It's because while TV shows have gone there, it have been more independent people, YouTube people, stuff like that. And it wasn't made super huge within the spotlight of television like other places have. Mm-hmm. And there is just so much activity. I mean, I don't know how haunted it is, really. I mean, because you got to know that with that much paranormal activity, there's going to be some made-up stuff to go with it.
Right.
It's just... It's going to happen. It's always, you look up at the sky, somebody's going to tell you it's blue, somebody's going to tell you it's green.
Right.
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think this is the first time we are actually, like, right on the same level with this.
Okay.
It's a, wow.
So we are right there with Regis Philbin. We think it's haunted.
Just let's not poo-poo it, I wonder if Yankee Jim's related to my brother.
What?
Yankee Jim Robinson.
Oh, yes. Oh. Okay.
I don't know if my brother listens to us, but he should be.
Probably not. Yeah, brother.
He probably doesn't.
I know my sister does.
Yeah. Yay.
I win.
Sup. But, yep, first time ever. The first time for everything. This is going to be the first time, maybe the only time we ever get like
yeah,
it.
right.
But, yeah, this will be an interesting place, and in about a year, we might be podcasting from a new home in a new place, and maybe we'll even have a trip out to the Whaley House one day.
I know. I'm excited.
Yes.
I am.
There's a lot more opportunity with the future we're looking at to visit more haunted stuff. Mm-hmm. So that'll be exciting. And like we've always said, if we could get this show up and to the next level, maybe I want to do on location podcast from haunted places. I would love to get to that.
That'd be super cool.
So come on, guys, go rate us, please. And go on iTunes, give us 5 stars. Go on whatever platform you listen to, give us 5 stars. You don't have to write a long comment or anything. We just need it to get us bumped up so we can get some notice. Get noticed by potential sponsors and stuff, because we'd like to do stuff with the show, and not just for us, for you. Like,
yes,
I'm the kind of person like, I want to give stuff away. I want to give stuff away. And there's only one way to really make that happen. So where can they find us?
Find us on Instagram at forthebooze_podcast, on Facebook at forthebooze.
They can also find us on Twitter at, you guessed it, For the Booze. And if you'd like to watch this show in 10 to 15 minute increments on YouTube, but by all means, go to For the Booze. And I don't know why, but sure, go ahead. Maybe you're busy and you're vacuuming, or I don't know, or you're doing
and we
dishes.
have no control over that.
Yeah,
it just popped up on YouTube when we started sharing. I don't know. It was really weird.
It just happens. But whatever. It's there if you'd like to go that route.
If you are a paranormal team, or you have a spooky ghostly story that you would like to share,
or location suggestions,
listener suggestions are always welcome. You can hit us up on any of those social medias, or send us an email at forthebooze12@gmail.com.
Yeah, forthebooze12@gmail.com. And listen, you have the choice. you don't have to write it all out if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
You can send a voice clip in, or even better, if you're on Twitter, follow For the Booze. Every Wednesday, we do a space with our friend Rick over at Maximum Oddities, who's another great podcast. You should go check him out.
Absolutely.
Him with Jonah from Blue Collar Enlightenment, Ashley from Lullaby the Fear podcast. We have a revolving door of these amazing podcasts that come in. But if you don't want to have to record or write anything down, come into the space that we do every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I'll record you telling your story in the space. So
yes.
it'll be like you're just telling everybody a story, and we can record. We can put fun music over it and everything. We can do it that way. So we'll work with you guys. Let's make this happen.
And we love hearing your stories. Love it, love it, love
It's
it.
one of my favorite parts.
Yes, me too.
I make sure I get to read them too, because Megan gets to read all the cool stories with the music and stuff. Which I got music now too.
I know. I saw that. I loved it. I loved it.
But so yeah, I think this is about where we're gonna head out, right?
I think so too.
I'd say be on the lookout in the future. I have a couple episodes that I want to do from right here in our state again, that I think are gonna be fun ones.
Yay. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We appreciate it all so much, and we will see you all next week.
See you next week. Bye.